Aloha, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, basketball fans across the state. Welcome to the Rewind Sports Network on KSLSports.com, and the Rewind Sports Network Game of the Week, presented by Heidemann and Associates and Nutricost. This afternoon, we welcome you to Valhalla and the home of the Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest, where Alta and Lone Peak get set to square off. Two of the best teams in the state, toe-to-toe in an early season clash. With my broadcast partner, Davis Brandy, Alex Timilip joining you here from Valhalla in the heart of the Grove. Alrighty, Davis, I turn to you. First thing I say is, what a matchup we've got this afternoon here. Lone Peak against Alta, two of the best teams in the state, squaring off here in an early season clash in one of the premier preseason tournaments in high school basketball.
That's right. The stars have aligned. The stage is set. You have the best matchup, the best teams in the country coming out, and you get also a little taste of the best teams in the state of Utah facing off here in pre-region play. And I'm excited. You got the Nike and Chipotle, ESPN, they're all here. Get to watch a little bit of Alta versus Lone Peak. I'm excited. Get your popcorn ready.
Of course, this part of the sponsored by the EYBL Scholastic and part of ESPN Events is next SportsCenter next tournaments, as we're off and running this afternoon from Valhalla. Lone Peak in the black jerseys going from our right to our left. Again, both of these teams, two of the best in the state, two contenders coming into the season, but sporting very different rosters, as you're going to notice here early on. Here's Austin Simon on the move toward the basket. And the first points of the afternoon belong to LP. And here comes Dash Reiser, one of the best in the state at his job at the point guard position. Matt McKay misses his first shot. Simon sprinting the other way with the rebound. Sam Suarez back to Simon. And a quick 4-0 lead for the Lone Peak Knights. And Davis, we talked with both coaches, Travis Orn, and for Lone Peak, Robert Ross. The goal is to push the tempo early on, and we saw just a little bit of that here early on.
Yeah, you love seeing it come out. They're going back and forth. I love the give and go with Simon, one of the few players for Lone Peak who can handle himself in the paint with the size advantage.
Zach Papke now to Matt McKay. Bowling balls into the paint, and the loose ball comes away to Suarez. Of course, Alta, the defending 5A runners-up, graduated a lot of their star players from last season. Lone Peak also coming in with a much different roster than last season, as well as we got a foul out front on Jackson Langford, and the first foul about 90 seconds into the game.
Yeah, both teams, they played a lot more bigger basketball with Doliak and Johnson for Alta, and you got Burgess, Staley, and Cogswell for Lone Peak. But now they're airing it out, they're spreading out with the small ball.
Offensive foul called on Sam Suarez. Will go the other way. Second turnover already for both these teams. And we have a quick substitution, or rather it's Langford going to the sideline. And he'll do the side out. Again, full court press is going to be the name of the game, as we have a stoppage here. And it looks like we have blood, and so we'll take a quick stoppage while they attend to that. That's Enoch Mitchell, who is cut on the lip, and so we'll have a quick pause here, and it's a good time to remind you that the Rewind Sports Network and our Game of the Week is presented by Heidemann and Associates, the full-service law firm that is committed to winning for you, the client, whatever the season is. Call them today or schedule your free appointment and consultation with them, courtesy of KSL Sports Rewind. Alexander Timilip, Davis Brandy here from Valhalla, just underway. Drew Toulson just came into the game. Number 5 replacing Mitchell. McKay, his opposite number, here in the low post. Trap down low, gets it back out to Reiser, 19 on the shot clock. Reiser, pull-up three-pointer. And it can't get the roll. Rebound fought for and grabbed by the Knights.
You're going to see a lot of shots from Reiser. Him and Zach Papke, the two shooters beyond the arc. And you might think, oh, Reiser only had 10 points in their last game. The 13 assists come into play as well. A huge double-double from Reiser.
Pull-up jumper, right side. That doesn't go. Offensive rebound chased down by Toulson. Kick out corner, three-pointer on the way. And hitting the three, first one of the game, is Jackson Taylor, who had 8 of those triples. And an early 7-0 lead here for Lone Peak. Kick in the corner. That three is off the mark. Taylor grabs the rebound. Simon sprinting out in transition. Simon puts on the brakes, banks it up, won't go. Fight for the rebound. McKay able to swing through and get it. And again, pressure coming up all 94 feet.
Yeah, that was a big emphasis from Coach Ross in the pregame and just going into the season, just that mindset of just always making teams work for it all minutes of the half.
Papke into the corner, Reiser fakes, drives, kicks it back out. Papke resets for three. That doesn't go. And skying for the rebound is Crew Fotheringham. Here comes Toulson again. Three-pointer, Taylor on the way. That one off the mark. Simon flying in for the rebound. And we have a foul coming over the back. Is Matt McKay. So Lone Peak already imposing their will here early on as we have a substitution. Colin Hansen comes into the ball game replacing Langford. Papke also comes out. And he'll be replaced for the first time by Luke Roberts. 7-0 lead here for LP. This pass lobbed into the backcourt, and that's going to be a sideline violation. And it'll go back to the Hawks. So already the third turnover for Lone Peak here in this first 8 minutes, but they have the early touchdown lead. Here's Dash Reiser, one of the only two returning starters from last season. Reiser drives right to the basket, probably had a shot at it, but instead the pass got taken away. McKay able to come back and get the steal. They'll reset quickly. Reiser kicks it out. Roberts, open look, three-pointer. That doesn't go. Tip up and in by McKay. And Alta finally has their first points almost halfway through this first quarter.
Yeah, they've been getting looks. Zach Papke missed one, and then they finally got one to fall thanks to McKay.
Simon, drop pass into the corner. Open look, three-pointer, and Fotheringham knocks that one down. And that's what Lone Peak does. They shoot the lights out. It's almost an eerily similar style, I think, Davis Brandy, to what Joe Mazzulla does with the Boston Celtics. A lot of threes, high-volume shots as Roberts can't answer back with a three. Fighting for the rebound and stepping on the back line. And out of bounds there.
But yeah, you mentioned the Lone Peak offense. There's too many guys to keep track of. You have to have a man on Jackson Taylor at all times, but then you fall asleep, and all of a sudden, Crew Fotheringham is open in the corner.
That's Ty Cogswell, the Copper Hills transfer, who stepped on the back line. On the reset now, it's it's Dash Reiser, and that pass is stolen away. Try to feed it through the legs for Matt McKay, and here comes Lone Peak again in transition. Fotheringham back in the corner. Toulson off the cut. Here's Taylor. Taylor finds himself open, 15-footer. Who's strong. Fight for the rebound. Toulson again with it. Taylor for three. He can't knock it down. And again, Toulson racing up for the rebound. That jumper no good, and finally Nelson clears, and Travis Orn's seen enough of this circus. And he'll take a timeout, and we will as well. What a hectic start. 2:45 to go. Lone Peak up 10-2 on the defending 5A runners-up. Proud to have Burt Brothers alongside us as a sponsor of KSL Sports Rewind in our Game of the Week, where auto care is done better. Alexander Timop alongside Davis Brandy. The KSL Sports Rewind Game of the Week from Valhalla and the EYBL Scholastic. And ESPN next, 5 for the Fight. Presented by Nike and Chipotle here this afternoon from Pleasant Grove High School. Zach Papke comes up with it through center. And now Reiser has it out front. Again, pressure, full 94-foot, 2-2-1 full court trap. Reiser drives to the basket, blocked by Cogswell. How many times we said that over the years?
Cogswell from the field, literally last week for the Lone Peak football team, now back on the hardwood, back to business.
6'8" tall is Cogswell. He played Z receiver for Bart Brockbank. Here's Mitchell. Fotheringham against Nelson. Oh, nice step through, and the 15-footer is good. 5 early points for Fotheringham. It is a 10-point Lone Peak lead.
Now that was smooth, and that's why he has an offer from Cal this offseason. Love what he's going to do this year.
Of course, Mark Madsen, now the head coach at California, former Utah Valley head coach. Three-pointer on the way. That's rims around and out from Boston Gray, and the rebound comes down. Here's Cogswell coming up with it in transition. Fotheringham, quick trigger, three! Boy, he's got 8 points already. And a 13-point lead for LP, and Alta just trying to find some traction here early on offense. Nice cut to the basket on the pick and roll, and Roberts finally puts an end to the drought. That ended an 8-0 Lone Peak run over the last 2 minutes, and that was the first Alta field goal in almost 3 minutes.
Well, yeah, Alta just needed to catch their breath. It's been all gas, no breaks from Lone Peak.
Fotheringham that time short on the three. Papke chest catch on the rebound, and here he comes the other way. He is still yet to get on the scoreboard. Papke goes to the right hand and a foul. And Davis, you probably have to think that that's going to be the way that Alta's going to have to attack this big Lone Peak team, is to just go right into the body of these big guys.
Yeah, Papke, and this is the play that you would want to do this. He can dunk, he can shoot the three. He didn't miss a single shot in their first win against Fremont. But yeah, right now, with everyone coming on the full court press, if you can break through, you have a few guys behind him. Papke, you just go downhill, attack the paint, and if anything, you get the free throws like now.
And that's a far cry, Davis, I think, from what we saw last year with this Alta team, because you remember they had Doliak, Goodfellow, Johnson. They really didn't need to attack because the big guys just do it for them. But that's the one thing that we talked about with Travis Oren, is that a lot of these guys are going to have to play, you know, a much different style than they did last year.
Yeah, you can't just move around Johnson. Johnson was he was big, but he was up front, and you had Doliak on the anchor. You can't gel through those guys anymore. It's up to them to step up to the plate and make the plays.
Simon now. Dash Riser comes out. He takes his first rest. Here's Drew Toulson now. Toulson doubled in the post, then we get a travel. And so that'll kill the shot clock with 31.5 left here in the first quarter. And Dash Riser, after literally a 30-second rest, is right back on the floor. Nelson comes right back out. Hayden Anderson also is in the ball game now, as the shot clock has been turned off, and this will be the last possession of the first half, or the first quarter rather. Riser sees the double, pulls back the dribble through the legs, pulls up from 13 feet. That rims out. Rebound Simon.
With this Lone Peak defense, you need to look. I would like to see a little bit more passing and going, because it's going to give them more time to get set and get those doubles, create pressure, and more turnovers. So if you're Alta, you got to dish it out.
Toulson got it off at the buzzer and misses it off to the left, and that's the end of the first 8 minutes. But what a start for Lone Peak here, a hot start at that. They have an early 15-6 lead as we head to the second 8 minutes on the Rewind Sports Network. Rewind Sports Network is your home of high school basketball this season. And coming up this week, we invite you to join us all week long, starting tomorrow, for a special girls doubleheader as Copper Hills takes on Clearfield and Lone Peak plays Bountiful. Join Nate Carter at Clearfield and Alex Napolis at Bountiful tomorrow. Both games start at 7 p.m. on the Rewind Sports Network on KSLSports.com. And also join us back here at 8:45 tomorrow night as Dane Stewart has the call for Sierra Canyon, California against Orem in the girls' Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest. That starts approximately 8:45. All games tomorrow on the Rewind Sports Network, your home for high school basketball. I mean, you talk about a matchup, though, Davis. Sierra Canyon, California against Orem.
I know, lucky Dane.
That is some matchup. And we talked about it, right? The Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest. A lot of premier talent here. Teams like Veritas, Link Academy, Wasatch, of course, here, Montverde as well. You know, a lot of these teams, like Robert Ross said for Lone Peak, are going to have kids in the NBA in the next 2-3 years. That's crazy to think about.
Right, and you're able to put Utah on a stage, and with a team like Orem, you want to see what they're made of. And you might as well put them up against the best of the best here at Valhalla.
Simon quickly to the basket. Strong finish right through the contact as Taylor launches and can hit the three. Simon gets the offensive rebound, and he goes up and finishes. And that is how quickly this Lone Peak team can strike.
Yeah, they are just stepping on Alta's throat right now. In a blink of an eye, 4 points just like that.
Dash Reiser hits his second shot, and it's now 19-10 Lone Peak. Wow.
What a display from Austin Simon right now.
Him and Crew Fotheringham are carrying the load as Cogswell tried to go in and catch a body. He missed the dunk and went out of bounds. I don't know if we have the ability to do Shackton a fool in high school, but I think that might be a candidate for it right there.
Man, what could have been? Let's see if he can get it right here. Good steal.
That's already the fifth one of this first half for Lone Peak, and the sixth turnover for Alta. And you called it, Davis. There is just no room to breathe right now offensively for this Alta offense.
Yeah, and you turn the corner and someone's in a blink of an eye. Simon is in stride. Taylor finds a way to find him. Like, the court vision from Taylor has been great so far.
And a great set off the inbound to Logan Brimhall. And the lead back up to 11. And again, another deflection. And Travis Orn tells Zach Papke, you go pass it in. Again, almost another deflection. As Langford comes speeding up through center court. Roberts, corner three. That doesn't go. Chased down by Fotheringham, and again, out comes Lone Peak, quickly attacking into the shot clock.
And that's what you want. You break the press. You have people behind you. You have that space opening up when you're in stride. You had Roberts. You just got to make it fall.
Simon now out front Fotheringham. He's got 8. Simon has 8 as well. Fotheringham against Roberts. Turnaround jumper in the post. Left it short. Papke taps it out. And here comes Roberts on the run. Back for Dash Reiser. Sets the feed. Three-pointer. Cha-ching! And he's got 7 of the 13 for Alta. And they're back within single digits.
Yeah, Lone Peak's just shut to them, but Reiser keeping them in that groove, keeping them in the game right now. You keep feeding the man who's working.
That's the first three-pointer of the afternoon for Alta, presented by D2D. Now Simon out front on Reiser, 10 on the shot clock. And we have a 3-second violation. Before that, a 30-second timeout called by Lone Peak. And Davis, right now, it's an 8-point game or an 8-point lead rather for Lone Peak, but you know, it seems like Lone Peak has been in control of this from the start. They have really controlled the tempo of this game, really from the beginning.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that it's in single digits right now, because Reiser, he's been pressured anytime, even off the ball. They're staying right by his hip. I just love, he mentioned, Coach Ross mentioned the speed, and I was like, yes, that's going to be a part of it, but not this obvious. This is, I think it's just because I've been on the football field, and we're not compacting the hardwood yet, but I'm like, man, these guys are flying right now, and I love it. Simon with his frame at the guard, but still has the size to go inside and drive if that's needed. But again, they're paying attention to Taylor. He's got 2 seconds of space, and he's able to let it fly.
And that's the scary part about it, right? Is that
you think you're taking care of Simon, all of a sudden,
yeah,
Taylor's killing you on the three.
Here's Fotheringham, turn around in the post, and he knocks that one down.
He was looking for it earlier, and he finally got it to fall.
10 points now for Crew Fotheringham, and on the other end, he takes the charge. That is the 7th turnover for Lone Peak. I said Lone Peak, it's out to the 7th turnover for Alta, and we're not even halfway through this first half yet. As we're waiting for Dash Reiser to be subbed off the floor, Nelson comes back on the floor, along with Boston Gray. So far, 7 turnovers for Alta, 11 points off for Lone Peak, and that's been the difference in the game. Fotheringham, nice dish underneath, and that shot is blocked. Rejected rudely there by Anderson. Nelson, good defense in the corner, and Anderson gets his hand on the pass.
I love the defense from Hansen. That's the second turnover he's forced since he's been in the game.
In the game right now, Turin Bingham, the other side right now for Lone Peak. Along with Logan Brimhall. Fotheringham, pull-up three-pointer. He has half of Lone Peak's first half points. Gray steps on the brakes, and now he'll pull it back out. Papke drives, splits the double, goes to the basket, and scores.
I love that Zach Papke has the green light this season. You saw a glimpse of it in the semifinals against Timpview. In that Timpview game, he had 16 points, and you were able to just charge in, and now we're going to see a whole lot more of that this season.
Logan Brimhall gets the and one on the reverse. Cogswell, Simon, and Mitchell come back in. Drew Fotheringham, 13 points so far. By my count, he's only missed 2 shots. Brimhall's free throw is good, and this is now the largest lead Lone Peak has had in this first half. Back into the game now comes Sam Suarez, who started the game. And Caleb Anderson now comes in as well, as Travis Horn just trying to find really some kind of answer to stop the bleeding a little bit here in this first half. Papke racing up through center court with it. Drives down the lane, and another offensive foul. This time it's called on Papke. That's the 8th turnover now for the Hawks. Under 4 minutes to go here in the first half. 29-15, Lone Peak leads. And already looks like a much different squad than last season. Simon driving on Nelson and got it stripped. Nelson throws it ahead for Gray. Gets the return pass. Suarez gets back into his face. Nelson now drives, and a foul as Cogswell's going to get called for the push.
That's now 3 turnovers forced by Hansen. Now it was him coming down the lane and drawing the foul to hopefully slow down this Lone Peak momentum. I don't know what they should be looking for. The brightest shine of light is Zach Papke driving inside.
Colin Hansen, first shot is good. Second shot also is good, and I don't think that's going to be the only. I don't think that's going to be the only time we're going to say that. You're going to say that this season. I think there'll be a lot of teams trying to figure out how to keep Lone Peak from scoring at will on them. Suarez now 20 on the shot clock. Back to Mitchell. Cogswell out front, drives, kicks it inside. Nice give and go for Suarez.
Great feed from Cogswell. You're going inside, 2 men on you, and just the big frame able to find Suarez down at the block.
Nelson driving the other way, and a near steal, but it deflects, and going inside, blocking foul, counted at 1. As Suarez tried to step in and take the charge again, but this time it goes against him, and Caleb Anderson heads back to the line for a chance for one more.
I know Cogswell would like an assist, but I don't think that type of assist as he tried to keep it in bounds into the hands of Alta for the N1.
But you said it, Davis. They are just getting their hands on everything here in the first half. Just no room to breathe as Reiser and Langford come back into the ball game for the Hawks. Under 3 minutes to go, first half. Lone Peak has been in control of this one largely from the start. They forced 8 turnovers and garnered 13 points off of them. And that's been the difference here in the game. Here's Mitchell now. Mitchell drives into traffic, almost lost the handle. Back to Back to Simon. He got it stolen away there by Langford. Langford up ahead. Pass goes off the hands of Papke, able to keep it alive, but right to Fotheringham. 2-on-1 up the floor. Cogswell trying to feed it inside, and it's batted away by Gray. And now Papke's by himself on the other end, and he'll lay it in.
It's the little things. It's the little things. The little ball control, just being in the right spot. And Alta came out on top.
Zach Papke's first field goal in almost 3 minutes. Alta's been as close as 8 here in this first half. Their largest deficit was 14 points. Fotheringham's got the mismatch. Turnaround Jay on Reiser, off the mark. Rebound comes down. Here's Gray. Gray charging up ahead. Euro step. Lefty layup. Banks it in. A 7-0 run for Alta, and now it's a 7-point game, and this is the closest they have been in this first half. As we approach 90 seconds to go here in half number 1. Toulson, pass deflected out front there by Nelson. 15 on the shot clock here for Simon. Simon back for Cogswell, 10 on the shot clock. Pass is deflected, almost stolen again by Gray. 6 on the shot clock. Simon drives, Simon goes up, and we have a hell ball. And the possession arrow is going to keep it here with 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Jackson Taylor returns. Block number 32, Logan Brimhall.
Brimhall comes back in. Taylor
you can see the difference in the stagnant, when you slow Lone Peak down, you force them into half-court offense. There wasn't much. There's a little bit of miscommunication.
And there it is again. That 3 no good from Fotheringham, and here comes Gray again. Gray finds himself alone for 3. No good. 2 Hawks went up for the rebound. 1 minute to go. Papke, banker off the glass. That won't go. And the rebound tracked down there by LP. Big missed opportunity there for Alta to cut the lead down under 7. 20 on the shot clock here for Fotheringham. He's got 13 points in this first half. Kicks it back. Taylor, open look, 3-pointer. That is short. Fight for the rebound, and Langford has it. And this will likely be the last possession of the first half, as the shot and game clocks are just about even. Reiser, behind the back dribble, gets out of the double. Back to the corner. Drives, pull-up jumper. That's way off the top of the backboard. Fotheringham the rebound, 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Fotheringham for 3. Bingo! Reiser from half court of the buzzer. Off the mark. And that's the end of half number 1. And some missed opportunities for Alta to get within 7 points. And they find themselves now down by 10 here at the half, Davis. But you can feel the intensity by Alta's defense starting to turn up a couple of dials at the end of that first half.
Yeah, they were able, there was life for Alta right there. They just couldn't capitalize on those opportunities. But the opportunities were there. They were able to create it. They were able to slow Lone Peak down, like I said. You're able to force Fotheringham and Simon to make their own plays, which they can. That's just less efficient than when they're in transition and just foot to the pedal.
It was a very hectic first half. Up and down they went, but Lone Peak finds himself up double digits at the end of 16 minutes. We'll be back with the second half of action after this on the rewind. It almost feels like, doesn't it, the offensive style, though? Robert Ross has taken over from Quincy Lewis. Now, this is kind of more of the offense that he's wanted to run, because this is really reminiscent of the days of Frank Jackson, Eric Mika, what have you, as battle for the rebound comes out to Reiser. He pulls the trigger for 3, and he hits it. But getting back to what I said earlier, just a little bit ago, this kind of feels like the Frank Jackson, Eric Mika, TJ Hawes days, where Quincy Lewis's teams would just run up the floor and rub down the floor and score a will on you. It feels like that kind of an offense, and Robert Ross is finally getting to run it.
Right, and the defense is going to be left just chasing ghosts, turning around, and all of a sudden they're doing backdoor cuts with Taylor and everything. It's going to be chaos this season.
Jackson Taylor left that one short off the rim. And we have a foul, as it looked like Suarez got stripped of the ball going up. Robert Ross looking for a foul. None such whistle comes. And so Alta with a chance to get this down below 7. It says 34-26, but our camera clearly saw it was a 3 here in the gym. So it is a 7-point lead here for Lone Peak. Dash Reiser out front. Over to Langford.
Swinging, get ahead.
Back into the corner. Papke, three-pointer. Knocks it down. And this is the closest that Lone Peak's lead has been cut. And a timeout is called by Robert Ross. And that's the Alta we've known over the last few years.
Right, just getting ahead, attacking your guys. The attention was on Reiser, but they were moving, off-ball movement. McKay off the screen, and then you had Papke just right there, able to let it fly. And now they're ahead. You have the shot from Reiser, and now Papke. They're flowing. They're going.
And how critical is that, Davis, for Alta to get back in an offensive rhythm? Because largely, for most, if not all, of the first half, it was kind of a feel it out kind of process. Can we get in rhythm? Are we in rhythm? Are we not in rhythm right now? It was almost an up and down kind of first half offensively.
Well, and then, when you're doing that and you let Lone Peak basically own you. They weren't afraid of Dash Reiser. They weren't afraid of Papke. Now you're going to demand your respect. You're going to make them back up to make sure that you don't get caught. You're going to make them put your hand up, and you can keep moving around and keep them, looking around on who's where.
So out of the timeout, Lone Peak's lead down here to 5. This is the closest Alta's been. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell back to Simon. Simon drives into the paint, and we have a tie-up. Possession arrow remains here with 12 on the shot clock. That's the second jump ball that Lone Peak is forced, or rather Alta has forced. Mitchell comes out, Toulson comes back in. As Travis Oren trying to tighten the screws here a little bit. Simon drives on Reiser. Lost the ball again, on the floor for it. Langford has it. Has no help coming and throws it right to Toulson, who lays it in. Everybody had taken off down the floor and forgot about there was a man on the floor. And Toulson took advantage of it. The 9th Alta turnover of this game. Driving to the basket. Wild shot doesn't go. McKay can't follow it up. And the rebound is captured by Taylor. We're going to keep the score at 36-29 unless we see something else. Because they've ruled that officially a 2. I thought that was a 3. Here's Fotheringham out front. Taylor now, 19 on the shot clock. Backdoor cut. Here's Toulson. Pull up from inside 10 feet. Gets the friendly bounce off the back rim.
I love that adjustment. Alta, they've been able to slow down Lone Peak, force them in a half-court offense. You get everyone swinging around the backdoor. We saw it with Taylor a little bit, and you're able to find a man open on the block.
4 quick points, back to a 9-point lead for LP. Dash Reiser, that 3 is blocked by Suarez. Now we have a flopping foul called against Reiser. So as in college, that's a warning, not a technical foul yet. Looked like a pretty clean block to me from up here. And that's 10 turnovers now officially for Alta.
And that's what's kept this game a little bit out of reach now, because you have that debt with the 10 turnovers, knowing what could have been if the ball was taken care of a little bit more, or you just able to give yourself more space.
Toulson out front against Papke, 15 on the shot clock. Again, Lone Peak getting deep into the possession. Toulson for 3. That tumbles over the backboard. That's a dead ball. And Lone Peak turns it over. Good stop there for the Alta Hawks, who come into this game, of course, the defending 5A runners-up, expected to be contenders again in Region 6.
Yeah, the Region 6 champs looking for back-to-back, but it's not going to be easy with a crowded room with Skyline Olympus, the 6A champs that they played in the finals over at Rice Eccles Stadium, as well as East and West as well over in Salt Lake City.
Of course, Alta and Olympus turning into one of the bigger rivalries in 5A.
Yeah, it was electric. They had more fans in the stands at the state championship than Utah basketball in general.
I think even in the previous game where Alta was coming in ranked 23rd in the nation, as McKay turns it over again, that's 11 now for Alta here this afternoon. I mean, the Huntsman Center was absolutely jammed with both student sections.
That's right. It wasn't the Rice Eccles Center. It's the Huntsman Center.
How about that floater right there? And 6 straight points for Lone Peak that got the lead back to double digits. And right back the other way. That 3 doesn't go. McKay taps it back out. That last basket by Turin Bingham. Pull up jumper from right side. That doesn't go. Fight for the rebound. And coming out of there with it, of course, is Brimhall. Into the post now. Cogswell got the mismatch. And he traveled. 13 turnovers for Alta, 6 for Lone Peak. And with 3:33 to go here in the third quarter, it's 40-29. And again, we should remind folks at home, it should be 40-30. But they ruled the three-pointer by Reiser earlier in the quarter a 2, as Cogswell almost got that one again.
Yeah, the long reach from the tight end, now the big man on the court, Cogswell. He's been able to disrupt whenever he's on the floor. He's not just the big man sitting down at the anchor. He's involved. He's applying this Lone Peak pressure as well, as we see it time and time again.
On the back door, batted out of bounds. Reiser got his hand in that glassing lane. Make it 14 turnovers now for Alta. They're just having a double of a time trying to figure out this Lone Peak pressure.
Oh, he had Toulson, but...
And that's fumbled out of bounds. Brimhall had an opportunity to go up strong with it right there, but Papke pressured him off the ball, and Lone Peak turns it right back over. So again, another opportunity for Alta to get this within single digits again. This time they break the press. The press coming up through center court. Reiser now drives into the basket. Floater up and good. He is so good when he gets downhill like that. And it's 40-31. Reiser now with 15 points. Cogswell, nice pass back door. And Papke was late on the back door and a foul. And Papke irate at Boston Gray. Another defensive breakdown leads to another opportunity for 2 more here for Lone Peak.
Number 32, Logan Brimhall.
Logan Brimhall will step to the free throw line. And he bends the legs. First shot on the way is short. Rewind Sports Network and our coverage of the Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest is presented all season long. Or excuse me, it's presented all week long by Heidemann and Associates and by Nutricost. Second shot on the way. That doesn't go. Fight for the rebound. McKay comes down with it. Reiser racing up the floor, kicks it out. Corner, there's a 3 on the way. It's good. Luke Roberts hits the triple. And just like that, back to a 6-point game.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it. You think that Lone Peak's been in control, but this has been a much better quarter, especially from Dash Reiser. And they've been able to, again, bring it into a much more playable game.
Driving is Toulson, goes up, can't get it to go, but no one there to cover his back on the foul.
We mention all the time, the chaotic, the fast-paced offense for Lone Peak, but that's also Alta's, emphasis this year as well. Just because you don't have the big man Johnson and Doliak and even Goodfellow to ride on, you have to push the pace as well. And they've definitely tried it today. It's just those 10, 11 turnovers now haven't been in their favor. But that's what you're going to see from Alta this year. They're pushing the pace, Reiser drawing in, dishing out. You have Roberts, Papke, all the guys to able to air it out because they got to play similar to Lone Peak as well.
Tolson steps up, hits the first, second shot on the way, rattles home. Lone Peak using the charity stripe to their advantage here in this third quarter. They've made it a 7-point lead now. And they have officially now given a 3-pointer to Dash Reiser, and now it's 42-35. So the scoreboard now is correct to where it should be. Reiser, deep three. Left it short. Looked like a busted set coming out of that play. The rebound is captured there by Fotheringham. Taylor for three. That doesn't go. Flying for the rebound high. And a foul called on the reach-in. And that's going to go the other way, as getting called for the foul there was Simon.
Both teams kind of caught a break. Simon was a little bit sleeping on Reiser beyond the arc. He let it flew, couldn't get it to fall, and same with Taylor. Those guys are dangerous. 8 threes from the last game for Taylor. Just hasn't really found that type of rhythm himself.
Reiser now against Taylor. 23 on the shot clock. Orn trying to get some movement going. Dash Reiser, wow! And a timeout is called by Travis Orn, as this now is the smallest the lead has been for Lone Peak in this game. Make it 17 points for Dash Reiser, coming off that 10-point, 13-assist double-double against Fremont. He is single-handedly keeping this team afloat right now in this ballgame, Davis.
Right, and all the eyes were on him, and he couldn't get much going, and they were just kind of grabbing at scraps. But now he's putting himself together, and he's been Old Faithful today, and he's going to be this season. There's no shadow with older brother Ace. This is Dash Reiser's team. Him and Papke, they have the reins, and they just can go full steam ahead this season.
How about this, too? Because, as you said earlier, Davis, I want to touch on this. It feels like Lone Peak has been pulling away for most of this third quarter. However, now here's Alta only down by 5 with less than 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter. You know, I think this game feels a lot tighter than it should be right now, and it's because of the fact that Alta's Dash Reiser is starting to turn the screw a little bit.
Right, and the juice has been coming toward Alta, but yeah, even when they brought it back into single digits, just the turnovers and the defensive problems Lone Peak has created has made it feel like that. But Reiser, he's been the outlier so far this quarter.
Here's Fotheringham. He has not scored yet here in this quarter. Turnaround in the post, jump shot on the way, that doesn't go. Rebound by Nelson. And then Nelson turns it over again, and out of bounds it goes back to Lone Peak. That is 15 turnovers, and you said it, Davis. The turnovers just keep becoming the story for the Hawks.
And it has been capitalized, but this quarter they really need to capitalize it. If you want to give yourself that 15-point cushion, now's the time. Reiser's out of the game. Go full speed.
Simon splits the double, floater on the way, won't go. Toulson, the offensive rebound. Cogswell trying to find Simon underneath. Probably should have gone up with that. That's the second time in this quarter that maybe he's gotten a little too unselfish.
Yeah,
Dash Reiser immediately back onto the floor after barely 15 seconds.
Yeah, Cogswell, he's the biggest man on the floor. He's the biggest man on his team. There's been some good feeds from him, but he's on the block. He's in his spot. He needs to take over.
That pass is stolen away. Anderson coming up the floor. Anderson to the basket and a foul.
Good contest from Taylor on the fast break, but just the whistle blows in favor of Alta.
That's the third in the quarter on Lone Peak, and the first on Jackson Taylor, and now Hayden Anderson to the line to shoot 2. First shot on the way is good. And it's now a 4-point game. Again, Lone Peak's largest lead was 14 points earlier in this game. Rather, 16 points. They're up 31-15. And with this free throw by Anderson, which goes in, This is the closest Alta has been. It is now a 3-point game, 42-39 with under 48 seconds to go here in the quarter. Alta, by the way, has not led in this game. Taylor open look for three. That's no good. Offensive rebound, put back, count it, and one. That's Logan Brimhall. And he'll go to the line for a chance for one more. That's the third on Zach Papke.
Yeah, you would think they would pull Zach Papke out with 3 fouls. You need him for that fourth quarter. He has a little bit of time. But good insurance there from Brimhall. They're really trying to get Taylor going beyond the arc. And it hasn't fallen yet. But Brimhall coming in clutch with the and one.
And he completes the 3-point play, and it makes it a 6-point lead again. Lone Peak pressuring again off the inbound. Here's Gray. Gray racing up the court with it into the corner. Papke, open look, 3-pointer. That doesn't go. Rebound by Toulson. Toulson will pull it back out. Shot clock turned off. And he gets it back out to Enoch Mitchell. A chance once again for Lone Peak to get this back up to an 8-point game. Here's Mitchell now with 10, with 9. Screen from Toulson, back to Toulson. Gray on him, 5 seconds. Toulson into the corner. Mitchell drives along the baseline. Pass goes out of bounds. And it will go to Alta, 1/10 of a second left. And really not much.
Yeah, you got to get a volleyball set
yeah,
to get
really,
this.
Really not a whole lot you can do here. And they'll just inbound it. The shot's not going to count as Papke's half quarter flies off to the left. And that takes us to the final 8 minutes. Turn into a good one here in Valhalla at the Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest presented by Chipotle and Nike. Back after this word from Mountain Land Truck Outfitters as we get set for the final 8 minutes. Come back to Valhalla in the heart of Pleasant Grove, Utah. Alexander Timop alongside Davis Brandy. This is the KSL Sports Rewind Game of the Week, presented by Heidemann & Associates and NutriCost. We'd like to remind you, for every 3-pointer in this game and throughout this season, Day-to-Day Millionaire will be helping you reign with your sales team. Go to d2dmillionaire.com for more information, and we remind you, more basketball coming up this week on Wednesday. Join us back here at Pleasant Grove as Dane Stewart has the call for Lone Peak and Orem. Coverage starts on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, at 7 p.m. And you can also catch some of the games between the bigger teams like Montverde and Wasatch. That's coming up here in just a little bit. That game will be streaming exclusively on ESPN+. But here we start the final 8 minutes with Alta trailing by 6. They've trailed by as many as 16 points. They have been as close as 3. And the pass goes out of bounds. Again, another turnover. Make it 16 turnovers now for Alta.
I love that from Suarez. No breaks from him. Just always in Papke's face, forcing him to almost chuck it because everyone else was down low. Too much of a risk. You try to go in the safe, back to the half court, and it was just too wild. Good defense from Suarez.
16 turnovers, 21 points off of them for Lone Peak today, and that's been the difference. Mitchell now takes the jab. Picks it back. Fotheringham has not scored in this second half until now. Goes right in and scores. He's got 18 in this game, and that's his first points here in the second half.
And that's what you needed. Taylor hasn't really been able to get much going. You have most of the reserves in the game. You need someone to just get you a bucket.
Taylor comes in for the offensive rebound there. Robert Ross yelling at his team to push the pace. Mitchell back out. Fotheringham now. Now Taylor will slow it down. Lone Peak's largest lead has been 15. It was shaved to as little as 3 late in the third quarter. Pass deflected, but got right to Mitchell. 10 on the shot clock now. Suarez had 2 men coming across the way at him. Now back to Fotheringham with 5. Fotheringham, 3-pointer, bingo! 21 points for Crew Fotheringham. He single-handedly has been the offense this afternoon for this Lone Peak team. Three-pointer is good. Great answer there from Roberts.
Hey, just that one good pass can open up so much for Alta right now. You saw from Reiser, he was able to get by, get space, and he found another assist for him tonight.
8-point lead here for Lone Peak heading down the stretch. Mitchell drives. Mitchell scores. Took it right at Boston Gray. Back to a 10-point lead here for Lone Peak. Time running out here for Alta. Can they find some offense from somewhere as we get a double dribble?
That was looking dangerous.
Well, hold on here. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion between the two officials down here. Now, the argument is that the ball was deflected, so in that essence, it would not be a travel. And it looks like they are going to overturn it. So it's not a travel. It will instead be Alta ball on a deflection.
I know, it partially looked like it got nagged with the ball in Papke's hands, and that's why the call was probably initially called.
Robert Ross is wondering why everyone's down that end, but the umpire looks at him and says, that's why it was down here. So he gave a thumbs up. A shout out to Robert Ross as well. Told us, of course, everybody knows he's been going through some health issues the last couple of years or so. But if anybody notices, he's actually wearing sunglasses when the camera comes back over to him. He had eye surgery just last week. As Reiser, that floater rattles out. That offensive rebound by Anderson doesn't go. It'll go back the other way.
Yeah, but tonight he's just the coolest man in the gym.
He
just
is.
a boss.
He
Gym's
is.
in. Wow.
He is. And of course, as is his style, always wearing the white shirt without the tie. As did his predecessor, of course, Quincy Lewis, who always wears the dress shirts and dress slacks. Fotheringham lost the dribble. Back out. Mitchell, one more. Taylor, three. That doesn't go. Brimhall, offensive rebound, got stripped going up. Mitchell, able to clean up the spill. 5 minutes to go. McKay down the floor. And that is just how quickly Alta can attack. That's really the first time we've seen that, Davis, all afternoon. Here with under 5 minutes to go.
I know, the weapon from the football field. We've talked about the football player Cogswell. Look at McKay coming in stride down at the paint.
Mitchell. Fotheringham back out. 5 points after 16 in this second half. Here's Brimhall. Boy, has he been big. Suarez now. Good closeout by McKay. Taylor, open look, got hit on the three-point attempt as he let it go. Boston Gray picks up his first, and that'll put Jackson Taylor on the line with 4:28 left to go. As Roberts and Langford set to check back in here for Alta after these first two free throws.
At the line for the Knicks, returning Jackson Taylor.
Taylor's first shot is good.
Yeah, let's see if this can give Taylor a little bit more of a group to go. He's been looking for a shot, hasn't fallen. Hopefully this can give him a mental reset so he can get his three ball going.
That's been the interesting thing, hasn't it, Davis? I mean, he's been quiet most of the afternoon. It's been Crew Fotheringham doing the heavy lifting, but when you look at it, like, his contributions, no matter where he is on the floor, is extremely critical for the success of this Lone Peak team, as we'll take a timeout here with Lone Peak as they're up by 13 once again here in the fourth quarter. I'd like to thank Nutricos for their sponsorship of the KSL Sports Rewind, Game of the Week. Alexander Timolip alongside Davis Brandy here at Pleasant Grove. The Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest presented by Nike, Chipotle, and ESPN Events continues on, and the KSL Sports Rewind Game of the Week brings you Lone Peak against Alta. Continuing the point we were going to make here before halftime, or before the timeout rather, Davis, was that how critical Jackson Taylor's success is to the success of this Lone Peak team, no matter really where he is on the floor, every contribution he makes, I think this season is going to be critical.
Exactly, whether it's on or off the ball. We've seen it today. He hasn't been contributing on the ball. Going into this game, I thought it was going to be a 3-point downpour today, but he hasn't. He's been moving the ball off the ball, creating that rhythm for them whenever they've been forced into a half-court offense, and that is going to lead up to open shots, but if not, you're able to create space for others. So he's always involved in the game, even though if it's not on the scorecard.
Cameron Broadhead just checked into the ball game. Chopped on the baseline, back out to Fotheringham. 13 on the shot clock, under 4 minutes to go. 10 on the shot clock, pass deflected, back to Taylor. Taylor trying to find Brimhall underneath, fumbled it, got it back, goes up strong, and it tumbles in. Well, right on cue, there's the assist for Jackson Taylor, and the lead back up to 15 now for LP. Reiser drives across the lane, kicks it out. Langford, first shot of the day is a 3. Comes with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, chased down by Mitchell. Mitchell. Taylor, cha-ching! There it is! And the lead back up to 18 points.
Yeah, with Taylor back in the game with that 3-ball, you could put the nail in the coffin. If he's letting it fly, you can just create that distance for this game.
20-5 run over the last 6 minutes of game time. Mitchell. And a foul. As Hayden Anderson going to check in. Simon comes in. Toulson comes in as well. As Lone Peak is going to go to 2-0. Or 3-0, or 2-0 rather. 2-0 rather on the season with that win over Cottonwood a couple days ago. As Cogswell cleans it up. Now we have a delay of game foul. Or rather, it's we have a official's timeout as it looks like McKay got poked in the eye. And Cole Lemon, Caleb Anderson, Colin Hansen come in, and so Travis Orn going to empty the bench down by 20 with 2.5 minutes to go. Like we said, Lone Peak going to go to 2-0. They'll face Orem on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
And then Alta, they're going to be playing Judge Memorial Catholic.
Yeah, they're a good team.
Yeah, a small school, but they won the state championship
good
last year. And both these teams, they mentioned about competition, they have no breaks during the non-region play. They are, obviously, you're playing here at the Hoop Fest platform, but Bob, Coach Ross, he said, they're playing Orem, they're playing Corner Canyon, they're playing everyone. And so you just love that. You see this game, to get that win under your belt, you're able to get an Alta win. It's a good sign for Lone Peak basketball.
As Anderson is fouled, he'll go to the line, and Davis, to kind of continue to harp on that point, for Robert Ross, I mean, this is his 9th year as the head coach now here at Lone Peak. And you talk about how he has had an all gas, no brakes kind of mentality, non-region play. Like, let's not take anything away from Lone Peak. Alta is going to be a really good team this year. They're going to likely be a favorite in Region 6, and they could likely be a contender come playoff time. But for this team to come out and make this kind of a statement this early, I know it's November, but they make a statement this early against a contender. This is a really, really good sign for this team. Right,
and you could just shake up Region 3. They were 5-5 last year in Region 3, and it was a tough year. You had American Fork and obviously the state champion Lehigh Pioneers. They still have Easton Hawkins, but with this win, you can say, hey, Lone Peak can compete. They can become one of the favorites. Even though they were 3rd place, it was really close with Westlake as well as American Fork and Skyridge. So obviously, there's going to be no day off for Lone Peak at the whole season, pre and in region play as well.
Yeah, you talked about Westlake as well. I mean, Westlake had I mean, Westlake was winless coming into their game against Skyridge.
But they were better than their record.
Yes, and look what they did. They went in and beat Skyridge at Skyridge by 3 points, as that three-pointer's off the mark. Skylar Andrioli is coming to the ball game now, as Robert Ross going to pull some of his starters here with 1.5 minutes to go. On the pick and roll, nice play, and Reiser finds the dish there for Caleb Anderson. Approaching a minute to go here in this one. On the other side here for Alta, let's talk about what their outlook is this season. And like we said to Travis Orm before the game, as Fotheringham gets the roll on that, this team is going to be good. I mean, but this is a team, that loves to play for each other, that is cohesive already, despite the fact that they have a lot of new pieces. I think today there are a lot of good things, I think, that Travis Orn can take away from this game here, Davis.
For sure. There were definitely the great flashes, the scare, and the third quarter was a really good quarter. You were able to give Dash Reiser some space, and you know that he can make those shots. He's going to take a lot of them this season, and it's good to see him go into the driver's seat this game against a big team like Lone Peak. And it's just it's a new system that you're gonna see this year. So it's not gonna happen overnight in late November, but they're gonna get clicking.
Reiser can hit the three. Fotheringham the rebound, and that will do it. Final seconds will tick off. Robert Ross just says, bring it up here and let's call it a game. And the Lone Peak Knights go to 2-0 on the season as they finish off a 68-48 win over the defending 5A runners-up Alta Hawks. They lay a major statement here early in November, December. Time now for the Heidemann and Associates Player of the Game, presented by the full-service law firm committed to winning for you, the client, Heidemann and Associates. I mean, Davis, is no surprise this afternoon. We got to go with Crew Fotheringham. 16 first-half points. He didn't have to do much in the second half, but he did enough in the first half to get this team across the finish line. An excellent performance this afternoon by Lone Peak. Exactly.
When early in the game, it seemed like everyone was getting a piece of the pie. Simon with a few drives and defense. Taylor with a few early points as well. But Fotheringham, he was Old Faithful. He was the tried and true. We need a bucket. Go do your thing. And, he excelled today. I'm excited to see Lone Peak this year.
And Crew Fotheringham, of course, gets the Fight for the Fight post-game MVP award as well. No surprising. 23 points this afternoon for the senior. And Davis, one more time, I want to talk about Alta here for a second. Alta had some flashes of their good performance this afternoon, but I think what it came down to at the end of the game, the defense for Lone Peak, just too much to handle. 16 turnovers forced this afternoon by LP, and I believe by my count, 26 points off turnovers. It was a 68-48 game. It was a 20-point game. You look at all the stats, that was what it came down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it seems like it could have been just the size and the reach from Lone Peak. You have Ty Cogswell coming up on Dash Reiser many times in the game, and they're just nagging at him. And so I think part of it was just the builds of the guards even. Like Simon is a really good defensive guard. And with those turnovers and the points, they were in dead. They were in, it was just a little bit out of reach. The fact that they brought it into, 6 points in the third quarter was amazing. We thought Lone Peak was in the driver's seat, and we were just gonna kind of sleep through this one. But they brought it back. They gave themselves life. So there's definitely things, like you said, there's good things to take out of this game. But definitely things to clean up, especially ball control.
Well, Davis, step out of retirement for one day. That was fun. It was good to be back
with you again. Good to have you back, yeah.
Remember, next game coming up is Montverde at Wasatch Academy. That game will be exclusively on ESPN+. We're done here for today, though. Join us tomorrow for more Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest as Sierra Canyon, California takes on Orem. And then Wednesday, Lone Peak faces off against Orem. What an interesting matchup. That will be Robert Ross's team going up against a really good Orem Tigers team led by head coach Jace Tavita and Weber State basketball commit, or Utah State basketball commit, I should say, Jax Allen. For my broadcast partner, Davis Brandy, for Tino Psyche on the camera, for Vince Francis back in the broadcast house in KSL in Salt Lake. My name is Alexander Timov. Thank you for watching the Fight for the Fight Hoop Fest and our game of the week, presented by Heidemann & Associates and NutriCost. Final score once again 68-48 in favor of Low Peak. Until we meet again, folks, take care of one another. Aloha from Utah, and have a happy Thanksgiving.